Right, I will call the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Anyone want a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Public comment. So this is the opportunity to comment on anything that is not listed on the agenda. So if anyone has anything that's not listed on the agenda, this is your time to step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and share your information. No? Okay. Announcements?
None.
Okay. Approval of the April 29th, 2025 meeting minutes. I thought they looked good. I didn't know if anybody else noticed anything.
I didn't have anything.
No?
I found nothing. I'll move.
All right. Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Public hearings. So the first one, Boulder Point, 8th edition KJ Walk Inc. Applicant. Consider application for preliminary, if I can say that, and final plat approval.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. KJ Walk, the applicant, has now approached the city regarding possible development of a parcel they own located within city limits, located south of Glenborough Drive, just between Hickory Ridge Drive and Glenmore Court in the Boulder Point development. The property is known as the former Boulder Point Recreation Center, or the swimming pool lot. The owner or the operator of Boulder Point Golf Club were obligated by the HOA to construct a recreation center for the residents of the Boulder Point HOA at time of construction. After construction of the pool and the restrooms, the HOA then voted to eliminate the association dues required for the use of the facility. Sorry. Future construction was paused after several years of trying to operate the pool facility on a subscription basis, and it was determined that it was losing too much money and it made more sense to close it down permanently. The owner and developer has indicated that over the last 15 years, the HOA has not financially contributed toward the rec center, nor entered any sort of good faith negotiations with the owner about the issue. Per the HOA documents, the owner's obligation would be terminated after 15 years, and they have now elected to do so. The HOA management was notified in writing by certified letter in accordance with the requirements of the documents. No response was received by the owners. The property is no longer encumbered by the recreation center requirements from the HOA documents. The owner's intent is to split the site into 2 buildable lots, residential buildable lots, and rework the pool deck, fence, and equipment to fit onto just one of those lots, with the second lot being clear of any pool-related equipment or facilities. The total property is 4.59 acres. Official applications have now been applied for rezoning, which has since been withdrawn, and we'll get to the reasoning why later. And also official applications for preliminary and final plat for Boulder Point 8th edition. The application for preliminary plat approval contains 3 lots on 4.59 acres, and the application for final plat approval will go to the City Council after the preliminary plat, if the preliminary plat is approved. To the south of the subject property is the Boulder Point Golf Course property. To the east is the Boulder Point Golf Course itself, proper. To the north of the subject property is single-family detached housing, part of the Boulder Point Homeowners Association. And to the west of the subject property is more single-family detached housing, also part of the same HOA. The land is guided to a low-density residential use, and that district is characterized by low residential densities that provide opportunities for a variety of detached single-family residential housing options. Those are the city's R1 and R2 zoning districts, which have a density of 2.5 to 5 units per net acre. The proposed residential portion of the development is just over 3.5 units per net acre at 2 proposed residential units on 0.57 net acres. Therefore, the proposed residential detached single-family homes meet the intent and density requirements of the land use for this area. Currently, the property is located inside city limits and is zoned PUD, or planned unit development. The purpose of the PUD development is many. It varies. As you can see there, A through G. I'm not going to list them all, but those are the kind of what you look for in a PUD. So, for example, preserve and enhance natural features and open spaces. That was done as part of the original PUD with the incorporation of the golf course. All permitted uses, permitted accessory uses, conditional uses, interim uses, and uses allowed by administrative permit are allowed under the PUD zoning district, provided that they would be allowed on the site under the comp plan. Renee, do you want to take this slide real quick?
The zoning ordinance also identifies criteria that is to be considered as part of a request for a zoning amendment. The rezoning has to be consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, has to be compatible with adjacent land uses, should meet all the performance standards contained in the zoning ordinance. The proposed use of the property can be accommodated with existing public utilities that are available to the property, and will not overburden the city's service capacity, and traffic generated from the proposed uses within the capabilities of the streets serving the property. The applicants have applied to rezone the residential portion of the property to R1, low-density residential, but have since withdrawn that application because they couldn't quite meet the minimum lot width requirement, although they could meet the lot size. So they're resubmitting an application to rezone it to PUD, which will be placed on the next agenda. So that is the portion of this application that was withdrawn. We had already sent out the notices when we realized that, so I decided to go ahead and hold the public hearing related to the plat, preliminary plat. Again, so based on the plan submitted, the 2 residential units, they do meet the minimum lot area, but they're just slightly shy of the required minimum lot width. One is proposed at 80 feet, one at 73.83 feet. So that is why a PUD is necessary. Go ahead.
Thank you, Renee. So yeah, the total property is 4.59 acres, measures approximately 556 feet wide by approximately 286 feet deep. Based on the R1 zoning district, the minimum lot area size is 12,000 square feet, and the minimum required unit width is 85 feet. So based on the plan submitted, the 2 residential units do not achieve this. Therefore, the proposed lots do not meet the minimum required lot area widths, as Renee said, so PUD approval would be necessary. The applicant is intending to apply to rezone the property to a new PUD zoning district at a future planning commission meeting. The timelines work where it could be at the next one if everything is in on time. Another public hearing notice would be sent to property owners 350 feet adjacent from the property, so there will be another notification if there is another public hearing. Setbacks are required in the R1 zoning district as follows: 30 feet in the front yard, 10 feet in the side. If it's corner lot, 25 feet. Rear yard, 30 feet. Based on the plans, the proposed development appears to meet the setback requirements. And the height requirements are 35 feet in the R1 zoning district. Based on the submitted plans, it does not appear to exceed the height requirements. For 1 and 2 family residences, 440 square foot attached garage shall be constructed at the time of the house. And then for all newly created lots, a location for a 3-stall attached garage must be possible whether or not construction is intended. The city subdivision ordinance contains tree preservation and replacement regulations, requires that 40% of significant trees must be protected as part of the development. Significant trees are defined as follows: hardwood deciduous 6 inches or greater in diameter, softwood deciduous 12 inches or greater in diameter, or any coniferous tree that's 36 inches in height or greater. Based on the plans provided, there are 10 significant trees on the property, which were identified as coniferous trees exceeding 6 feet in height. 4 of the trees are proposed to be relocated to different locations on the existing site. The proposed plan meets the regulations of the city's tree preservation and replacement requirements. Here's a little diagram showing you the 2 residential lots. I know it's hard to see, and the trees. These plans are available on the city's website as well. If you can get a little closer look. If you're interested after the meeting, I can email you directly if you'd like as well. In addition to the developer obligations, 2 trees must also be planted upon each lot at the time of building permit, sod placed in the front and side yards. The rear yards must either be seeded, hydro-seeded, or sodded. Requirements are placed upon the builder at the time of home building permit. The city subdivision ordinance also requires that 10-foot wide perimeter easements and 5-foot wide interior easements be dedicated along all lot lines. The plans have shown this. Also, in areas where public infrastructure such as sewer, water, or storm water is placed, the easement widths must be increased as recommended by the city engineer and public works director who have reviewed the plans. Additionally, in areas where grading and drainage swales may be needed to accommodate overland drainage flow, additional easement width may be needed to cover the entire width of the swale. The city engineer has reviewed the submitted grading and erosion control plan dated 5/2 and has not recommended any additional easement widths. The plat depicts easements as required by city code. Sanitary sewer is available to the property at Glenborough Drive, where existing gravity main is located in the street. The homes are proposed to be served by 2 existing sewer stubs as shown on the preliminary plat drawing. 1 stub serves the current existing pool. Staff have no concerns with the sanitary sewer access into the property. Everything will flow east into Glenborough Drive via the existing 8-inch sanitary sewer main into the existing lift station as depicted on the city's 2040 comp plan. Water service is also available on Glenborough Drive, also 8-inch water main. Staff have no concerns with water access to the property. The city engineer has reviewed the plan set submitted for the proposed development, and it is their opinion that it may be preferable to seek permission to disturb and restore a small amount of the Lot 1 neighbor's yard and pick up the services at their existing terminations rather than dig and backfill under existing utilities located in the boulevard and then abandon those service lines in place. The services appear to be located within the city's drainage and utility easement. At a minimum, the existing curb stop box for Lot 1 and all piping exposed in excavations will need to be fully removed if the lines are to be abandoned as proposed. The subject property lies entirely within the Cannon River Watershed District. The applicants must survey and show existing topography in the abutting easement areas of adjacent houses to the west so that drainage impacts to those properties can be evaluated. The stormwater plan will need to be approved by the city's engineer. Original wetland delineation was prepared as part of the original plat in 2000. Although the delineation has expired, there is no indication that wetlands are present on the proposed development. Therefore, the city will not require another wetland delineation prior to platting due to there being no previously identified wetlands, FEMA designated floodplains, or DNR protected waters located on the property. Proposed development borders Glenborough Drive on the north side of the development. Glenborough Drive is an existing minor collector roadway, the purpose of which is to collect local traffic and convey it to major collectors and minor arterials. Minor collectors serve relatively short trips at relatively low speeds, and their emphasis is focused on access rather than mobility. The purpose of a minor collector is to provide a balance of mobility and land use access function. They serve trips that are entirely within the city and connect neighborhoods and smaller commercial areas to the larger network. Minor collectors are shorter in length with lower volumes and lower speeds than major collectors. City's adopted street section for a minor collector is 80 feet right-of-way, 32 feet wide road with 2 16-foot travel lanes and 2 5-foot sidewalks, 1 on each side. Typical section is shown here. The expanded right-of-way allows for future expansion of the road if needed, as shown on the typical section below. City code requires that B618 curb and gutter be constructed with new development. However, that is inconsistent with the existing curbing along Glenborough Drive. So the city is saying the existing curbing may remain if it is in fair or better condition as determined by the Public Works Director. Concrete aprons to the right-of-way are required by city code. The concrete aprons must be called out on the plans with a note that the final location is to be shown on certificates submitted with building permits. Code-compliant curb with driveway openings and aprons must be provided if the existing curbing is in less than fair condition. The city's transportation plan recommends that sidewalks or trails be constructed along all minor collectors, major collectors, and minor arterial roadways. There's an existing trail along the north side of Glenborough Drive, and the city's Parks and Trail Plan does not identify any additional trail or sidewalk corridors on the property other than those already existing. No additional trails or sidewalks are required or proposed based on city code. The city's subdivision ordinance requires that 8% of the land be dedicated for the purposes of public parks or playgrounds. This was originally platted in 2000, and the park dedication was previously satisfied for the development. State statute therefore does not allow the city to require park dedication for what has already been received for the same property. Therefore, no park dedication will be required for the proposed replat. It is noted that the closest city park is Boulder Heights Park, which is classified as a neighborhood park. Neighborhood parks serve specific neighborhoods within the city. Boulder Heights Park is the newest park in the city, and it's approximately half a mile from the proposed development and is separated by 275th Street East, an existing local road. Other nearby parks include Pete's Hill Park, an open space, and historic Elko Park, and Big Windrose Park. Additional comments from the city's engineer, public works director, police chief, fire chief, building official, city attorney, and the relevant school district are included with the presentation here tonight. Staff's recommendation is for the applicant to apply to rezone the property from PUD to a new PUD district due to the following reasons. Development of the property as R1 is generally compatible with the surrounding land uses. The proposed development containing 2 residential lots on 0.57 acres meets the intent of the city's comprehensive land use plan, which guides the property as low-density residential. The required density is 2.5 to 10 units per net acre. 3.51 units per net acre are proposed. And noting that Boulder Point 8th will be subject to the R1 suburban single-family residential district, except as follows. Those variations in minimum lot width and minimum lot size are listed here. So from the R1 85 minimum lot width down to 73.83 feet at the smallest, and minimum lot size 12,000 square feet down to 11,177.5 square feet. The plat should also be developed in accordance with the following plans received by the city, subject to the conditions noted on the red line plans dated May 20th, and subject to the recommendations of the city engineer as contained in his memorandum dated May 20th. Staff recommend the following conditions for the preliminary and final plat approval of Boulder Point 8th Edition, containing 3 lots on 4.59 acres. First, the property would be required to be rezoned PUD due to the proposed lots not achieving the city's minimum lot size and width. The applicants must indicate how they intend to achieve the intent of the city's PUD zoning district. The city council must then approve the PUD zoning conditions. Thirdly, perimeter drainage easements must be dedicated on the final plat, along with easements covering the sanitary sewer and water mains serving the development. Grading and utility plans will also need to be approved by the city engineer and public works director, and the requirements of city code pertaining to essential services must be satisfactorily met. The developer shall also work with the postmaster to find an acceptable location for mailboxes. Approval is subject to the city engineer comments and staff redline plans, also subject to recommendations of the city attorney. The developer must enter into a development contract with the city of Elko New Market at the time of final plat approval. Construction plans must be revised to include a year-round drain tile system and tile connection stubs that can be used for sump pump connections. At a minimum, the existing curb stop box for Lot 1 and all piping exposed and excavations will need to be fully removed if the lines are to be abandoned as proposed. The side yard and perimeter grades must be detailed with spot elevations at property corners and high-low points, as well as drainage arrows and percent grades to facilitate building permit review and final lot grading approvals. Finished grades at key points on the perimeters of the house and the pads must also be provided. Survey and show existing topography in the abutting easement areas so that drainage impacts to those properties can be evaluated. And lastly, existing curbing may remain if in fair or better condition as determined by the public works director. Notices of the hearing were mailed to all properties within 350 feet of this property. Notice of the hearing was also published in the newspaper, on the city's website, and on social media. Staff encouraged the public to submit comments prior to the meeting. So at this point, staff will recommend that we open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the commission via Zoom may raise your hand using the Zoom feature. Staff will individually call on those waiting to address the commission, and you will be unmuted. Those in person will be called on first. Once unmuted, please state your name and address for the record prior to addressing the commission. State your name and address, sorry. Once you have finished addressing the commission, you will again be muted. When all questions and comments have been received, the public hearing will be continued to a future meeting for the updated rezoning application. Okay. Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Jake. Thank you, Renee. All right, I'd also like to make the comment, like to be mindful of people's time. You know, keep track of like 2 minutes if you could keep your comments so we can keep everybody on track and hear everybody out. So I will open the public hearing at 7:22 p.m. Please come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record. If you'd like to comment on the Boulder Point 8th edition.
Hi, I'm Tara Schrader, 27035 Hickory Ridge Drive. Most of you know me. I just want to take a few minutes. I guess my biggest question is the presentation stated that the association was notified. I am the vice president of the association, and we have the president of the association, both present today. We have not been notified or received such letter. I did reach out to the company that helps with the association. I have not gotten an email back yet, but I appreciate some time to look into it. We'd also like to better understand how this additional addition is going to come into being when we as a master have not given any approval. So we need to be notified if we need to seek any legal counsel regarding that. Where this house is being placed, we do have bylaws and standards for the buildings that we put in. We would like to have the authority over the size and the general aesthetic of those because we do hold our houses to a similar standard. And so I think that's the biggest concern for us is we had no idea until this public announcement came out, and we would have appreciated or would now appreciate time to understand better how this is going to fit into our association. Also, from a historic standpoint, the pool has never been really well managed. I know there are people within the neighborhood that would like to participate in using the pool. I think some of those people are probably here today, but I don't believe it was ever very well maintained. I know there's a lot of history behind the pool, so there's things there as well. But that's my two biggest points. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Nick Zach, 9471 Glenboro Drive. As Tara stated, I'm the president of the association. My biggest concern is the majority of the lots in our neighborhood are 1/3 of an acre or larger. Now, that one lot, lot 2, is plotted out to be a 1/4 acre. How does that affect everything that we've already started in that neighborhood? I understand plot 1 should fall within those guidelines. But with that pool being there, does that also, are there any setback issues? Because they plan on keeping the pool there, correct? Do I understand? Okay, so when you decide to put a home on there following our covenants, will those setbacks still be followed? Because again, like Tara said, if we're absorbing this as the 8th edition, that house has to be a certain size to follow our covenants. So those are my two major concerns, is with the plotting, the way that's set up. I don't know how you'd be able to put a house to follow our covenants on plot 2. That's all I had. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Kyle Clark, 27011 Hickory Ridge Drive. My concern is the hill that you guys would be tearing out for plot 1, drainage issues and stuff like that, and everything they said. I just want to voice my opinion.
Thank you.
else going to speak on this hearing? Okay.
My name's Luke Israelson. I'm with KJ Walk. Our office address is 6001 Egan Drive, Suite 100 in Savage, Minnesota. We did notify the management company. We worked with an attorney to go through the whole process to try to make sure that everything was handled properly. We sent a few emails. We sent certified letters to the registered address for the management company, which is by extension also the registered address for the association. So we tried our best to do everything we could to make sure that we were following all the appropriate rules and everything with notification. Yeah, I think, you know, the plan is to make sure that both lots are at least 12,000 square feet. There's a little misunderstanding on our part with the R1 zoning. We can definitely get to the 12,000 square feet for each lot. Just the width is a little bit of an issue. There's a lot of existing utilities, some electrical boxes, communication boxes, stuff like that, a fire hydrant and everything else. So going with a PUD to keep the lots just a little bit narrower is gonna make things fit in there better. But we will be at least at 12,000 square feet per lot when it's all said and done. The pool will be held onto one lot, and so the other lot would be clear of the pool. The plan, or my understanding is because the property was initially part of the association documents, we would be obligated to join the association, and we would fall under all of the rules that go with the association. So the architectural review committee, anything like that, that's applicable. We fully intend to make sure that we're following all of those rules and standards. We decided to go 2 single-family lots because there's already 2 services in there, so we were trying to do something minimum disruption, trying not to need to go out and dig up Glenboro Drive to access utilities. I know the sewer's pretty deep out there, so you'd end up with a pretty big hole if we were trying to add a new service. So utilizing the 2 existing services made it the most logical way to move forward. And then I think, you know, being able to clean up the pool and have it be part of a single-family home is the long-term solution to solving that without just going out and tearing it out or filling it in. So we'd like to see if we can get a little bit of the value out of what was put in there when we constructed the pool. I think that's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, I will ask another time. Anyone want to comment on the Boulder Point 8th edition? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. And I will ask one last time. Anyone want to comment on the Boulder Point 8th edition? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Okay.
Okay. At this point, staff would recommend that we deny the application for rezoning and wait for the new application for rezoning. Adjacent homeowners will be notified when that public hearing is going to take place with updated plans for review. And then we'll continue the public hearing on the preliminary and final plat.
Okay.
I don't think we need to deny the application if they've withdrawn it. Is that your understanding?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So just continue the public hearing.
Yeah, they could, you could keep the public hearing on the plat open,
Okay,
and maybe you want to do that?
sure.
Okay.
All right, I'll make the recommendation to continue the public hearing. Okay, all in favor?
A second,
Okay.
Do you know for how long?
next meeting.
Well, I think they're hoping for the next June
So
meeting.
we're going to request the applicants grant us a 60-day extension. Likely it'll only take 30 days, but
Okay.
just to be safe.
Okay.
I think if we are going to continue it, we do need to know the date that it's going to be continued to. So,
It'll be contingent on when we get the application in, so.
Luke, that would be contingent upon getting the application for the rezoning and any amendments before the deadline for the next meeting.
Yeah, we can get them in either tail end of this week or next week.
Okay.
So the
Yeah.
June planning commission meeting?
Okay,
We just need enough time to get everything to the newspaper.
okay. So making the recommendation to continue this public hearing to June 24th, right?
Yep. Yep. The next meeting.
I'll second.
All right, Brad seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so we'll move on to Dakota Acres Second Edition True North Development LLC applicant. Consider application for zoning from high-density residential to planned unit development. And then also consider application for preliminary and final plat approval.
So a little background on this property. It was originally acquired by the city in 2006 when the original developer defaulted on the assessments. It was later sold to Global Properties in 2018 and rezoned to R4 high-density residential as a condition of that sale. It was recently sold to True North Development LLC in 2024. True North has submitted previous concept development plans of townhomes on the site, which was reviewed by the Planning Commission at their December 17th meeting. The Planning Commission was supportive of the overall townhome development concept, but requested that amendments to the previously submitted concept plans be added to make room for additional guest parking, provide additional open space area calculations, provide landscaping area calculations, provide details regarding emergency vehicle turnarounds, and provide detailed information regarding how they intended to meet the purpose and intent of the city's PUD zoning district. True North Development submitted their most recent revised concept plan containing one sheet dated February 8th, 2025, and that was presented to the Planning Commission for feedback at their March 25th, 2025 meeting. The sheet submitted for review lacked information related to utilities and required easements. However, it did address much of the missing information from the previous concept plan. The intent of the project is to create a 40-unit townhome development. Here's the current proposal. So they have official applications now in for rezoning, preliminary plat, and final plat approval for Dakota Acres Second Edition. It's R4 high-density residential, rezoned to PUD, planned unit development. The application is also in for preliminary plat, containing the 40 residential lots on 3.19 acres, and the application for final plat. Neighborhood conditions here to the north, we have large rural agricultural property. To the west, we have more rural residential property. To the south is multifamily Old Town apartments and the Old Town strip mall below that. And to the east of the property is the existing Dakota Acres First Edition and residential single-family detached housing. The comp plan currently guides this area to R4 high-density residential, which contains a density of 10 to 30 units per net acre. There's 12.54 units per net acre proposed, which does meet the density for this land use district. The zoning district allows apartments and townhomes with more than 8 attached units. The density here, as stated, needs to fall between 32 to 96 units for the property, and there are 40 units proposed. As mentioned in the first presentation, the purpose of the PUD zoning district is various. There's varying things the city can look at for providing a PUD as long as it meets the intent. For example, allowing the mixing of land uses within a development when such mixing of land uses could not otherwise be accomplished under this title. There are some townhomes in the southern portion of what has been submitted that do not meet the required 8 or more attached units. So PUD zoning is required for those units. Also, those units not achieving minimum width or parking, as we'll get into later. At the December 17th Planning Commission meeting, the applicants were met with supportive feedback from the Planning Commission supporting the reduction in attached units through PUD zoning. The applicants have indicated to staff that they intend to achieve the intent of the city's PUD zoning ordinance by including landscaping above the city standards to offset the effect of any variations granted. The plans submitted show a total area of 38% of landscape space, which exceeds the city standards by 8%. In addition, other requirements that will be imposed on the PUD are garbage receptacles, which shall be stored within garages or fully screened from view. The developer shall work with the postmaster to find an acceptable location within the development for mailboxes. Ground level patio shall be provided for all townhome units with privacy fences constructed of vinyl, brick, and or consistent design provided between all adjacent rear yard patio areas. City review and approval of the proposed play equipment is required, and an in-ground irrigation system will also be required for the entire property. The site meets the minimum lot size requirements for the R4 zoning district and the minimum lot width. It also meets all building setbacks, and park and curb cuts are located within 5 feet from all property lines. The minimum unit width of townhomes in the R4 zoning district is 25 feet. The southern townhomes do not achieve this width. They're just around 20, as we'll get to later. As you can see, the circled units in the south do not achieve the 8 or more attached units, which the PUD zoning will also be needed for. You see the ones on the east are 6 units, and the ones on the west are 5 units. Unlikely to exceed the maximum height of 35 feet in the R4 zoning district based on the plans submitted. Residential uses for exterior finishes shall consist of Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, or Class 4 materials, which are listed here. For townhomes, 25% of the front facade shall be composed of Class 1 materials, at least 25%. It is unknown based on the plans submitted if these requirements are being met, so more information will be needed so that we can ensure that those requirements are met. Staff notes that the Planning Commission does not review building designs, but that the above requirements are also going to be imposed on the builder. 36% of the area minimum was to be landscaped due to the PUD zoning approval. The plans submitted indicate 38% of the site being landscaped, which exceeds that. Wetland delineation will not be required. There was a previous delineation that has since expired, similar to the other property, which showed no indication of wetlands present on the site. Sewer and water are available via stubs at James Parkway. Any looping with the existing townhome development to the east will require a private agreement with that townhome development. 10-foot wide perimeter easements, 5-foot wide interior easements are required, and additional easements may also be required by the city engineer. In his review, he noted that no additional easements will be required. Stormwater pond is located on the north side of James Parkway and will likely need to be expanded based on the plans submitted. The plans submitted do show that pond being expanded. The developer is responsible for the pond expansion. The proposed development contains 40 townhome units, which require a total of 180 parking spaces based on city code. Of the 180 required spaces, at least 80 must be enclosed, and 80 must be driveway spaces, and there must be 20 spaces provided for guest parking. The breakdown of the requirements are shown on this table. So 22 of the 40 proposed townhome units are proposed to be single stall garages with single parking space in the front of each garage. The Planning Commission provided the applicants with feedback indicating support for this idea and reduction in required parking spaces at their December 17th meeting. The proposed development is still lacking one guest parking space compared to the previous concept plans reviewed by staff. Access to the property is located off of James Parkway, which is a minor collector. A traffic study will be required based on the projected traffic generation of the final layout. Identified area for snow storage has been depicted on the concept plan. Access and transportation, there is an unnamed private street running north and south through the development. The city requires PUD zoning for any private streets proposed. The unnamed private street will be required to and is shown to have a width of 24 feet to accommodate two-way traffic throughout the site. Ownership over all the common elements of the development, especially the private road and the play area, shall be under the ownership of just one association. No additional sidewalks or trails are required for the proposed project. Existing trail is located along the north side of James Parkway. No identified sidewalk or trail corridors are identified throughout the subject property on the city's 2040 Parks and Trail Plan. Land dedication of 8% or cash contribution of 8% of the undeveloped property value are required at time of development for the purposes of public parks. Input will be sought from the Parks Commission regarding whether they will seek cash in lieu of park dedication for this property. Staff does note that they did review an apartment plan for the site in 2016 and recommended cash in lieu of land dedication. Nearby parks include Wagner, which is the city's largest park, Whispering Creek, and the Eagle View School facilities, which are not city-owned. 10% of the site shall be usable open space. Either active or passive uses count towards this requirement. So the developer must identify 13,896 square feet within the development to fulfill the requirement. Square footage of the play area depicted is unknown based on the plan submitted. Any proposed playground equipment, as mentioned earlier, will require city approval for safety and durability. The city engineer has responded to staff's request for review, and his comments have been incorporated with this presentation and his city engineer memorandum dated May 20th. The Public Works Director has also responded to staff's request, and his comments are included in the memorandum. The Building Inspection Department recommends no less than 7-foot setbacks between buildings, which is achieved in the proposed plans. No comments from the public safety at this time, and the fire chief has not yet responded for review at this time. Staff notes the following general comments associated with the applications. Development of the property as R4 high-density residential is generally compatible with the surrounding land uses. The proposed development containing 40 units on 3.1 acres meets the intent of the 2040 Comp Land Use Plan, which guides the property as high-density residential, requiring a density of 10 to 30 units per net acre. 12.54 units per net acre is proposed. Townhomes and condominiums containing more than 8 attached units are permitted use in the zoning district. PUD zoning will be required for the townhomes containing 8 or less attached units, and also those townhomes that do not achieve the city's minimum requirements. Further input will be sought from the city's Parks Commission regarding the desire for land versus cash in lieu of land dedication at their 6/11/25 meeting. The landscaping for Dakota Acres Second must exceed the minimum city landscaping requirements by no less than 6%, shown at 8%. Garbage receptacles shall be stored within garages or fully screened from view. The developer shall work with the postmaster to find an acceptable location for mailboxes. Ground level patios with privacy fences shall be constructed on all adjacent rear yard patio areas, and an in-ground irrigation system is required for the entire property. Staff notes the following conditions related to the preliminary plat. The exterior of townhome dwelling units shall be composed of a minimum of 25% Class 1 materials on the front facades. A lighting plan is required. Perimeter drainage and utility easements must be dedicated on the final plat, along with easements covering sanitary sewer and water mains serving the development. Grading and utility plans will also need to be approved by the city engineer and public works director. Parking shall be provided based on the feedback received from the Planning Commission regarding the PUD zoning at the December 17th meeting. The plan submitted depicted a total of 135 spaces, of which 58 are enclosed. The plan submitted lacks 1 required guest parking space. Additional support is required for the reduction of the additional guest parking space. Ownership over all the common elements of the development, specifically the private road and play area, shall be under the ownership of just one association. Any connection between the proposed private drive Oriole Street to the adjacent townhome development, although not currently proposed, would require an agreement and cross easements with the adjacent homeowners association. The developer also must identify a minimum of 13,896 square feet for open space within the development. The plan submitted depicts an outdoor play area in the middle of the proposed development with unknown dimensions. So staff are asking the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing for rezoning in the preliminary plat as required by Minnesota state statute. Following that public hearing, staff will be seeking a recommendation from the Planning Commission regarding the official applications for rezoning preliminary plat approval. Submitted as follows: proposed to be platted as Dakota Acres Second Edition. So I don't have the Zoom stuff on here, but if there's anyone who would like to ask a question on Zoom, please raise your hand. You will be called upon after everybody in person has had a chance to speak. We'll open the public hearing.
Yes, I'll open the public hearing at 7:46 PM. Thank you. So if anyone would like to state their name and address, step up to the podium, state their name and address for the record to speak on this, that'd be great.
James Miner, 25955. I just want to make sure the same builder is not building these townhomes as built to last. I just did about $6,000 in repairs to my unit. Sorry, I'm a little emotional because it's a little irritating. And just about every unit in that complex has had to have a fix of over $1,000 in damages. When we went after the builders to have them come through for a 1-year walkthrough, we were ignored. It's almost got to a point where a military lady moved in. COVID took her out of the military, and the government is actually seeking action against them. We're trying to see how far it goes before we actually do anything. It is wrong. They screwed a lot of people, a lot of pissed off people there, excuse my language. But we didn't deserve it. We've been left in the dark. You guys have heard a lot of our calls. I know we've talked to you a lot. Our land isn't even finished yet. They haven't done what they said they were gonna do with ours, and you guys, I would force them to sell the property and not allow Larry to build anything. Because he's already proven his partners aren't worthy, and the roof damages that are coming up on most of the buildings that, I mean, I had, $6,000 in water damages on my house, and it was built in 2022. It's not right. And there's nothing that I can do. My insurance is looking into it to see if I can go after them. But I don't even know who to go after. Bear Construction doesn't exist. Dave doesn't answer his calls. Larry doesn't answer his phone. Joe, good luck. We took the HOA from a negative place, and we actually have a surplus now. We did it right. We had to raise the dues that they refused to because, well, you can sell a house a lot cheaper or a lot better with low dues. They weren't enough to actually cover costs of the HOA. We're gonna be raising them again to replace driveways, fix the roads that they put in. Honestly, any conjunction of the new build and us, yeah, you pay us $100,000 to build to fix every unit in that HOA, and yeah, we'd consider it. Other than that, there's not a chance that they will have any access to that road. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Maria Fregis, 25490 Texas Avenue. I have a question it was stated for the Dakota Acres Second Edition that there was a previous wetland delineation that showed no existing wetlands on site, but is considered expired. I was curious if the LGU, local government unit, or the Soil and Water Conservation District made the decision to not need another wetland delineation, or if that was done administratively.
The city is the LGU, so it was done in consultation with our wetland advisors.
Okay. Just curious, because there is a 5-year expiration date on those decisions, because wetlands can change over time, so I just was curious if that was made by the LGU or not.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to comment on Dakota Acres Second Edition? Please come forward, step to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Anyone online? No. Okay, I will ask a third time. Anyone want to comment on Dakota Acres Second Edition? No. Okay.
Developers are here if they wanted to add anything.
My name's Alyssa Cheeky, 3250 90th Avenue, Northfield, and I'm one of the partners in True North Development. He left. I wanted to kind of answer some of his concerns that he had, but I just want to make it clear that none of the previous owners from the first development are involved in this one. And also, in regards to the association dues too, that will be handled on a third party, with a third-party company. So we won't have that same issue that happened last time to them. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that anyone else has. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I will close the public hearing at 7:52 PM.
At this point, we're asking the planning commission to recommend the applications for rezoning from high-density residential to planned unit development, and consider the application for preliminary and final plat approval for Dakota Acres Second Edition.
So moved.
Are we gonna have a discussion on anything? or-
Well, don't we have vote and then have a discussion and then
No.
No, discussion first.
discussion first? Okay. I appreciate the fact that this is a different housing style and option that we currently don't have in the city. Housing, housing is a struggle for many people right now, and affordability is a crisis. And I do appreciate that we have a different housing style that isn't a huge single-family home that doesn't have a three-car garage. I do appreciate that the developer coming forward and explaining that the original developers of the townhomes directly to the east of this proposed development isn't a part of the equation anymore. Because in hearing what was going on, did raise a lot of concerns for me, so I appreciate that that was clarified.
Well, I like that they reserve some area for turnaround if the garbage trucks or whatever come in and out of there. I hope that they paint those areas as no parking, because I could just envision people wanting to park, oh, they see a big open spot. But I don't know, is there a reason in the northwest corner that they can't add those one or two more spots there, or?
That was actually the one they subtracted was in the southwest corner. So they could more easily add one in the south. That
Yeah,
just
I
added
mean, the
back.
northwest corner of the southwest corner, yeah. The same parking area.
Yeah.
They notched this out, what is that for?
Oh, that's so they can get the snow stuff. That's the old plan. That was the one they presented.
Oh, okay,
So they have a more recent plan than that.
okay.
I'm a little confused. I don't know if I was on the commission at the time. So the developer that has the existing townhomes is the same person?
There's three different property owners at one, or of the other development that this was a portion of, I believe. And the first builder built two houses, then went out of business, and then developers bought it from the city years ago and developed part of it, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna remember the exact year, but 2018,
6 maybe.
19. The most recent townhomes that were built, the city is still holding performance securities because they haven't graded the site appropriately, and yeah, there's been some just completion issues that we're aware of with the development itself. This was the first time I had heard anything about the buildings. The contractor that constructed the buildings was licensed by the state. The buildings were inspected. This is the first time that I've heard anything about the buildings, the construction of the townhouses. But the plat itself, which I guess we're acting on the plat, the city takes securities to try to ensure performance of things that are required, like landscaping, grading, the playground, things like that.
A little bit, yeah.
Any other comments or questions? So you're looking for both to rezone it and then the plat approval, right?
Preliminary plat.
Yep. You will recommend preliminary plat approval and rezoning to the city council for further action, and then they'll be the ones who act on the final plat application.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for rezoning.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then motion for preliminary plat approval. Anyone want to make a motion on that? Leave it open?
So moved.
Okay. All second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And can I just confirm that the motions included the
This-
conditions
The
included
conditions
by
that were
staff?
listed? Yes.
Recommended by staff?
Yes. You want me to list them all?
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All 19?
All right. I will, now we're on to Highlands at Eagle View, Tamarack Land Development, LLC applicant. Consider application for rezoning and to planned PUD. And then also consider application for preliminary plat approval. Okay. So I will open the public hearing at 7:58 PM on that.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So right now, we're discussing the proposed development at Highlands at Eagle View. Staff is asking the Planning Commission to approve preliminary plat and rezoning. So this property is just short of 51 gross acres. You guys reviewed it, and so did the City Council late last year and early this year. It's already zoned PUD due to the 2005 development for the school. And the agreement states that the underlying zoning is R1. As you see here, this graphic shows an aerial overview of the city. So this parcel in question is on the northwest edge of town, as you can see there outlined in pink. Here's a snapshot of the preliminary development plan, just to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about as I go through the presentation. Neighborhood conditions. To the south, there is the school, the New Prague Elementary School. To the east is a development, to the east is roughly 30-acre parcel. North, there's a 39-acre agricultural parcel, also owned by the same company, and a few large lot residential properties with single-family detached constructed homes. To the west of the proposed development is a primarily agricultural property. The land, as you see here, is guided to low-density residential, which means it would have underlying zoning district of R1 or R2 zoning, which would mean units per net acre would have to be 2.5 to 5 based on the Metropolitan Council. This proposed development falls within that. It's 3.46 units per net acre. And residential detached single-family homes meet the intent of the currently guided land use for the area. Just short of 51 acres is currently zoned PUD. The property must be rezoned to a zoning district consistent with the purpose and intent of the comprehensive plan prior to the development. So the developer is proposing a new PUD zoning for the entirety of the property. So as Jake stated earlier in one of the earlier public hearings, the intent of the PUD varies, but for this particular development, A, C, D, and F are relevant. So provide for the establishment of a planned unit development zoning district in appropriate settings and situations to create or maintain a development pattern that complies with the comprehensive plan. Provide for variations to the strict application of land use regulations to improve site design and operation, while at the same time incorporating design elements such as construction materials, landscape, and lighting that exceed the city's standards. Promote a more creative and efficient approach to land use within the city, and maintain or improve the efficiency of public streets and utilities. So this PUD proposed is to allow for a slight reduction in lot width and setbacks within the development. Other examples that have been used in other PUDs approved by the city are those different options there, but like I said in the last slide, this one is primarily based upon increased housing design standards. So there's the current zoning map in the bottom left, which shows the R1, R2 zoning, and again, the proposed PUD. So Section 11.3.8 of the zoning ordinance also identifies criteria to be considered as part of the request as follows. So the proposed action has been considered in relation to specific policies and provisions of, and is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The proposed use is or will be compatible with present and future land uses of the area. The proposed use conforms with all performance standards contained in this title. The proposed use can be accommodated with existing public services and will not overburden the city's service capacity. And traffic generation by the proposed use is within capabilities of streets serving the property. Thus, staff believes that the request to rezone the property to a new PUD meets the above stated criteria. So this slide is showing a table just of the, on the left, it shows the R2 district requirements, and on the right, it shows the request for Highlands at Eagleview. So the highlighted numbers are what you see the variables or the variances on. So the it's a 5-foot difference in minimum lot width, 5-foot front setback. They actually have half a foot more side setback than required. And then the side corner setback would be reduced by 5 feet as well. So again, there are tree preservation requirements with this. A tree inventory was completed, which identified 6 trees, and they're all going to be saved. So the landscaping requirements, lot depth and lot width. So the double frontage residential lots shall have an additional depth of at least 20 feet, designated as an additional drainage and utility easement to the city. Lots which border a major collector or arterial street on a side yard shall have an additional 10 feet, designated as drainage and utility easements. The preliminary plat shows both of these things, which is required. So staff recommend the following. The landscape plan be revised to show landscape buffers and screening for lots that abut Texas Avenue on the west, and that deviations from the screening requirements not be approved as part of the PUD. The landscape plan be revised to show a minimum of 2 trees on each lot as required by the code, and that deviations from the builder tree requirements not be approved, again, as part of the PUD. And then on the landscape plan, they would just need to differentiate developer and builder tree obligations more clearly. Easements. So the subdivision ordinance requires that 10-foot wide perimeter easements and 5-foot wide interior easements be dedicated along all lot lines, and 10-foot easements are required along property lines that abut undeveloped properties. The plat depicts drainage and utility easements as required. Greater easements are also shown in areas where drainage swales or utilities exist on the proposed lots. Sewer, it is available on the southeast side of the property along Nevada Avenue via 6-inch PVC sewer force main. There's a proposed lift station on Outlot A, which is at the very northeast of this proposed development. A proposed force main will need to be constructed connecting that lift station to the existing force main. And then the sewer must be extended north in proposed Street E, which is the north-south road shown east of the proposed park, to the northern boundary of the plat. Water is also available. It's on the east side of the property along Nevada Avenue via 12-inch ductile iron pipe. A 12-inch water main must be extended through the development, consistent with the water plan. It must be extended north in proposed E as well to the northern boundary of the plat. Stormwater is a little bit unique on this property. So the entirety of the property lies within the Scott Watershed Management District, and service flows towards the west-northwest. The plan depicted 5 stormwater basins on the property. Both a 10-foot vegetative buffer and 35-foot building setback should be clearly identified in the plans. 2 HDPA lines exist along the eastern side of the property, and it flows north under 250th Street, which is north of this development, and even further north a little bit, which it discharges to the surface. The rear yard drainage for lots along Texas Avenue should be directed to the proposed storm basin in the southwest corner of the site. City staff are aware that there's an extensive drain tile system throughout the property, which provided and still provides agricultural drainage. This existing drainage pattern must be perpetuated in the new development. A wetland delineation has been completed, and application for wetland boundary and type concurrence has been submitted to the city. The application is currently under review by the technical evaluation panel, and a decision regarding any formal wetland boundaries is expected soon. If any wetland is identified on the site, developer has indicated they would be submitting a replacement plan for it. So that being said, any potential recommendations regarding the plat by the commission tonight must be conditioned on approval of wetland applications. Transportation. So this proposed development borders 3 existing streets: Nevada Avenue to the east, 255th to the south, and Texas Avenue to the west. The city's transportation plan identifies Nevada and 255th as major collector streets and Texas Avenue as a minor arterial roadway. So the purpose of a major collector is to link neighborhoods together within a city or link neighborhoods to a business. There are 2 collectors that abut this property: Nevada on the east and 255th on the south. So access to collector roadways should be made via local streets, as you see depicted in that picture on the right, and prohibit access, or private access should not be allowed on that road. Public street connections to major collector streets should be spaced at least 660 feet apart. So Nevada Avenue. A partial 35-foot right-of-way is platted along the entire east side of the property, but only a small section of the road is constructed near the southeast corner. City code would require that Nevada Avenue be constructed to the northern property line at the plat. However, the street lacks the full right-of-way needed to construct the full street. The current standard for a major collector is 100 feet of right-of-way. The developer is proposing 15 feet of additional right-of-way dedication to meet the standard. The city will seek the additional 50 feet during the platting of the Sullivan property directly to the east. 255th borders the entire property to the south, as I said. It's a major collector street. There's currently an existing trail along the north side of 255th, and the trail will be extended from the current westerly termini. As that picture on the bottom right shows, that highlighted area is where it ends, and where that will be the new construction is the highlighted area. Texas Avenue borders to the west. This is a Scott County road and is identified as a minor arterial roadway. Scott County seeks a total right-of-way of 150 feet for minor arterial roadways, and they already have it. So no additional right-of-way is anticipated. There are no street connections proposed from this development to Texas Avenue. They did ask that a trail bench be graded for a future trail along Texas Avenue. If the trail bench does not fit within the county right-of-way, the bench could be graded at the back of the individual lots by use of a trail easement. So, as you saw, several local streets are depicted on the preliminary plat. In instances where a street is terminated pending future extension into a future subdivision, a temporary cul-de-sac must be constructed if the street is longer than 150 feet, and future road extension signs will also be required. The maximum length of a cul-de-sac is 500 feet, measured from the center line of the street origin to the end of the right-of-way. And as always, concrete driveway openings shall be constructed from the curb to the property line. So sidewalks and trails. So based on city code and the 2040 comp plan, the following sidewalk and trail improvements are recommended within the plat. Construct 5-foot sidewalks on all local streets, 10-foot trail on the north side of 255th, and a 10-foot trail on the east side of Texas Avenue. They're all shown here, so it's kind of a small picture, it's hard to see, but all the dark gray lines are either sidewalks, and then the thicker gray lines are trails. So parks, the city subdivision ordinance requires 8% of the land to be dedicated for parks. Playgrounds, public open spaces, or trails, or the developer shall make a cash contribution to the city's park and trail fund, roughly related to the anticipated effect of the plat on the park and trail system. If no land dedication is required, the park fee has been established at 8% of the fair market value. The city's 2040 park and trail plan does not identify any park search areas on the subject, although a concept plan was presented to the Parks Commission in October of last year, and the recommendation was to require full land dedication rather than cash. The city council then heard the recommendation during their concept plan review, and they are to require a combination of park land dedication and cash. The city council requested that the parkland be of sufficient size to place a playground, park shelter, sport court, and trails within the park, and that it be centrally located within the development. All these things have been done. The preliminary plat drawing incorporates a park within the development as recommended by the city council. The location of the proposed park, as I said, is centrally located and will provide adequate access to the proposed development, as you can see here in that red circle. Miscellaneous items. So, neighborhood meeting. The city did request that the developer hold a neighborhood meeting prior to this meeting to introduce the project to the neighborhood. It was held last Wednesday at the library. Some city staff members attended the meeting, which was hosted by Tamarack Land Development, and resident questions at the meeting related mostly to drainage, the ghost plat showing the adjacent properties to the north, screening, traffic, and the location of a planned roadway connection to the north. And the county wanted to point out that any work done within the county will require a permit from Scott County. So the ghost plat. The preliminary plat shows a conceptual layout of the approximate 80 acres to the north of this parcel. A ghost plat is an additional requirement that we have laid out in our city code, which is submitted with each proposed development we get for the purpose of ensuring proper roadway alignments in the event of a future development, but it does not indicate city support or approval. The concept development plan showing properties to the north does not indicate approval or support of the specific layout, but rather shows the potential for future development based on planned roadway and utility alignments within this proposed development. Staff recommended, and city code requires, that the developer provide this ghost plat to demonstrate that cohesive development between the parcels could occur. City growth only occurs when a willing seller sells land to a willing buyer. The timing when a landowner wants to sell is not controlled by the city. The city plans for and prepares for growth in order to promote orderly development. So moving on to traffic, per land use code 210, a single-family detached house is anticipated to, with 148 of them, is anticipated to generate roughly 1,500 total day trips in the roadway network, with 106 in the AM, 144 in the PM. And if you just check out that table right there, it kind of shows, breaks it down a little bit for you. Leave it up there for a second. Continuing on with traffic, staff has no knowledge of major operational issues at the existing County Road 27 or County Road 2 intersections. The police chief indicated that they do not see a lot of accidents there. And there is an existing northbound right turn lane and a southbound bypass lane on County Road 27 at the intersection with 255th. And turn lanes allow vehicles to safely decelerate before turning without obstructing traffic. Bypass lanes allow vehicles to bypass other vehicles that are slowing down or stopping prior to turning. And the Scott County Highway Transportation Services was notified of the proposed development and has provided comments. Traffic generation or impacts to the county road system were not identified as an issue. So staff consulted with the city's traffic engineer regarding impacts of the development. And the following feedback was provided after running the anticipated traffic through a traffic modeling software. With the 2024 traffic volumes and anticipated traffic to be added to the intersection, they did not see a concern with the capacity of County Road 27 or at the intersection. Acceptable intersection levels of service are anticipated during peak hours. The modeling assumed all traffic from the development would go to and from the intersection in order to be conservative, and assumed none would go out for the east, in or out through to the east. Scott County's 2040 comp plan shows their capacities for a two-lane highway is well above what this development would add, which aligns with the county not having any comments or concerns on this. Additional comments. City engineer, he provided us a memo, and his comments are in there. Public Works Director incorporated in here. City Attorney didn't have any comments right now. The Police Chief did want to add just another caveat on that intersection to keep the view unobstructed at the corner of 27 and 255th to ensure proper sight lines for traffic. If any traffic control devices are needed in the neighborhood, specifically at the intersections of Street A and C, which is kind of to the south, near 255th, use yield signs in favor of stop signs. Fire chief didn't have any comments. Building official didn't have any comments. The school district, so this is anticipated to add roughly 81 students to the school system once it's fully developed, which is great for New Prague. Newmarket Township board members were notified of the application and have not submitted any comments to the city. And all of Scott County's comments were included in a letter, and they are attached to this report. So the actual request to the Planning Commission tonight is an application to rezone 50.87 acres to PUD zoning, and an application for preliminary plat approval of Highlands at Eagleview containing 148 lots on 50.86 gross acres. So staff recommendation, bear with me here. Staff rezoned to the property to PUD. It is consistent with the comprehensive plan, which guides to low-density residential. The proposed use of the property for single-family residential development is compatible with present and future uses of the land area. The proposed use and development of the property complies with performance standards contained in the subdivision ordinance and zoning, except as specifically identified in the PUD. The proposed residential use of the property can be accommodated with existing public services and will not overburden the city's service capacity at all. And traffic generation by the proposed development is within the capabilities of the existing infrastructure. Related to the request for preliminary plat approval, staff would also recommend approval of this for the following reasons. Development of the property for single-family residential homes is consistent with the land use plan, and it meets the density. The proposed plat is consistent with the purpose and intent of the 2040 comp plan and standards contained in the city's zoning and subdivision ordinance, again, except for the deviations as specifically approved through the PUD. And development of the property as single-family residential is compatible with adjacent land uses. So staff recommend approval of the request for preliminary plat with the following conditions. So the preliminary plat approval is subject to the approval of all wetland applications, like I stated, including wetland boundary and type concurrence, and approval of the wetland replacement plan if that's required. The developer must enter into development contract with the city at the time of final plat, The preliminary plat is issued for a period of 1 year and shall become null and void without further action from the Planning Commission or City Council unless the final plat is filed within 1 year of the date of the City Council granting preliminary plat approval. Preliminary plat approval is granted in accordance with the Highlands at Eagle View's preliminary development plans dated 5/2 containing 23 sheets, the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, and the Stormwater Management Plan. Preliminary plat approval is subject to conditions contained in the commission report for tonight, conditions noted on the red line plans dated 5/21, and subject to the recommendation of the city engineer as contained in memorandum dated 5/16/25. The landscape plan shall be amended to include landscape across screening along Texas Avenue to the west and Nevada Avenue to the east, to include 2 builder-installed trees on each lot, and to differentiate between developer and builder tree requirements. A sanitary sewer lift station must be installed on proposed Lot A, Outlot A, and sewer force main constructed connecting the proposed lift station to the existing force main in Nevada Avenue. The city engineer will design the lift station and force main to be installed by the developer. 12-inch water main must be extended throughout the development. Water and sewer must be extended north in proposed Street E to the northern boundary of the plat. 10-foot wide vegetative buffer and 35-foot building setback from the ordinary high water level of all ponds must be clearly depicted on the plans. A trail bench should be graded for a future trail along Texas Avenue. If it can't, it should be graded at the back of individual lots with a trail easement. A combination of parkland dedication and cash contribution will be required to satisfy the park dedication requirements. And this one, I'll add a little context to. So 13, a fence to be constructed on the northern boundary of Street E to mitigate concerns of headlights for the neighbors to the north. So this was an item that came up quite a bit at the neighborhood meeting last week. So I just wanted to, that is staff's recommendation, is to construct a fence so it's immediate. We don't have to wait years for the trees to grow, and it won't cause a problem to the neighbors to the north. So as Jake said earlier, for this one, if there's anybody online, please raise your hand, and we will get to you after everybody in person speaks. We're ready to open the public hearing.
All right, thank you. I'll open the public hearing at 8:19 p.m. Please step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record if you have anything to comment regarding Highlands at Eagle View.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Fregis, 25490 Texas Avenue. Elko, can I walk up to that quick?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I know you guys were there last week, correct? And I specifically talked to you about, this is where it's coming out. Right, that's Texas Avenue. So my house is right there. You want to put a fence up for the lights that come there too? And then I asked you about, right here used to be a cattle pass. You said there was gonna be something for watershed there, the way the water runs there. I have his question, thanks. You have the house that's right to there, so how does that work? It goes down, help me out, Darren, how deep is that ditch there? I mean, is that all getting graded down level? Is that ditch gonna stay like that along Texas Avenue?
So I want to make sure I'm hearing your questions correctly.
You
So,
go along Texas Avenue here.
yep,
The ditch is, I mean, it's steep.
yeah, it is steep,
The
yes.
hills come down, the hill comes down. There used to be a cattle pass underneath there, which was water drainage, not like it was for cattle recently. You had said that that was still gonna be in place, water would still be draining there. But what I see here though is yet you have a house right to the back end of it, is that correct?
Looks like there was a buffer, I thought.
Yeah.
So I just wanna be clear on that because most of the concerns the other night were for watershed and where
Sure.
it's running.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess just a quick introduction. My name is Reed Schultz. I'm with Tamarack Land Development. With me this evening is Nate Herman. He's our civil engineer working on the project. First, to answer the questions directly, the cattle crossing, we are proposing to remain in place. We have no plans at this point, or nobody has indicated otherwise that we need to remove that cattle crossing. We are working with the city engineer to ensure that all those utilities and everything are in place. Some of that storm sewer crossings and whatnot through there. did you want to speak to that?
Well, yeah, Rich, you can clarify, but I believe the cattle crossing, I think back in 2005 was actually filled in. Yep, and to address the question, there is a 24-inch corrugated metal pipe that goes underneath Texas Avenue right now, and that's what provides the drainage that heads westward and provides runoff away to get from the east side of Texas across the street to the west side. And that is all within, yep, when you look at the plans and the topography, she mentions it's a, fairly steep right-of-way or ditch system there. And there's, that existing 24-inch CMP is gonna remain untouched. We're really, doing everything just to stay out of the county right-of-way with any grading. So we are maintaining drainage flows and just to match existing conditions, and not proposing to do any work within the county right away. Well, my name is Nate Herman. Yeah, thank you guys. I'm the engineer for the project.
There was a bench, I think they talked about, right, or?
Yeah,
On
the
that.
trail, grading the trail, we'll work with city staff on the appropriate place of where that trail connection is. So there could be some additional grading needed in that right of way to accommodate the county's comment on that potential future trail. As far as lot sizes, the lot sizes that are abutting 255th as well as Texas Avenue are extra deep lots. So there is the landscape buffer that has been mentioned a few times by city staff. So those homes along Texas as well as those homes along 255th are actually further set back from those major collector roadways. So all those homes will have an appropriate backyard, appropriate building pad, and plenty of buffer through there. So these lot sizes are very traditional lot sizes for national home builders. We're not proposing anything that's smaller or unique than what they build on. So.
And your property is what, 30 feet at least from the Texas?
So we are providing a 25-foot landscape buffer, so that'll be a landscaped, heavily landscaped buffer along Texas and 255th. And then from there, we have our traditional 130-foot, I think, total in those, I guess, double frontage lots would be the appropriate term to use when they have right-of-way in the back and the right-of-way in the front, are at least 150. And then as they come around that curve and stuff, they get extra deep through there, so.
Cool. I have a question for the developer. Yep. Reed and Nate, could you describe just a little bit more for the crowd, the location of that southwesterly pond relative to that primary culvert that goes, there's actually two culverts there, but the one you're using is the deepest and the furthest north.
Correct.
Where that pond is relative to that pipe crossing, just to help them understand. I don't think there'll be a house up against that, where that culvert is.
Yeah, I think as Nate goes up there and kind of points to the very far north, right where his finger's pointing, there's, go ahead.
Yeah, right here, I know it's pretty hard to see from back there, but there's a little brown dot here, what that's representing. Here's the proposed pond. We have an outlet for the pond, and that's basically outletting right in line with the existing pipe that goes underneath Texas Avenue. So there is a riprap bed that's down at that base of that pipe, and we are connecting into that riprap system.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I wanted to get the
Zoom in?
the view of the room for the audience, but then it took your picture down, so we can put the picture back up if you want to reference it some
Let me know if you want to back it up.
Go ahead.
Put it
Yeah.
back.
So Rich, does that kind of answer the question a little bit?
Yeah, I think just to give a little idea where that actually is on that map was probably helpful, that,
Yeah, so right here, and then there's, like Rich is alluding to, there's another pipe just south of here that's actually probably real close to the old cattle crossing.
yep, about 10 feet away. Thank you.
I will ask again if anyone has comments related to this. Please step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Watchery, and we're at 7371 250th Street East. I think that you guys all need to know we are part of the township, so, you know, we don't have voting rights. And your future plan with this road goes right through my property and my neighbor's property. They were unable to be here tonight. They've got their kids' baseball games. When we had started talking about it at the last meeting with the developer, we had asked for the road to potentially end and become a house there or be a green space. When you look at the signs that are by Nevada where it stops now, they've been there for 20-plus years. It's kind of an eyesore to look at. We've enjoyed living out in the country. We knew development was coming, but we've enjoyed country life. And having all of those headlights coming into our property, and then to see the city proposing basically a cul-de-sac, 2 cul-de-sacs in our property in the Concept E plan. And when you look at this road that is proposed, that north-south road, it literally goes to a cul-de-sac. I don't know why you can't just have the road that's on the west, and you can still have your development. It's within, I believe, about 200 feet for your ordinance of the city street being 1,200 feet. Because you have access to the east on Nevada, and then you would have that road stubbed on the west. A fence was kind of a compromise for us, or, you know, some trees, if you are maintaining that that has to be there for the road stub. But ideally, I know myself and my neighbors would prefer that that's eliminated, and the developer could put a house there. It's extra money for taxes for the developer as well. And the other question that came up tonight was the wetlands. So what's the timeline for that to come back from the county?
The city is the authority on the wetlands, so we're the city council is the deciding authority. Input is from several different agencies. There's the Scott Soil and Water Conservation District, the Army Corps of Engineers. There's a number of wetland specialists that get together, go out to the site. They've been out to the site multiple times already. They've asked the developers, wetland specialists to revise boundaries based on field work they've observed. So they are, I actually thought it would be done last week, that the decisions would be made, it's been back and forth. So I would expect sometime this week, actually.
Because when the drain tile has been plugged in the past, we get flooding to the north in our yard. And if you look at the Google Maps view, and I think there was even one of your slides that showed where that field gets very wet and even up to our property. And when we built our shed, Scott County almost denied our permit because they were saying, well, you have wetland. Well, we don't. When that drain tile gets plugged, we get a lake at times. So, you know, lots of concerns with the grading of the property. When you look at the existing housing, they're way up on the hill. And even that northwest corner, that vacant 40, that's way up on the hill. So we're gonna have to really watch grading for that, or we are going to get flooding again.
Would you like a response? I certainly am aware of your concern and have been
Yeah.
for 20 years since I started working. There's drain tile everywhere.
Yeah.
And the developer's also pretty well aware that any drain tile that's draining into their site has to be maintained continuity to another system so that it's not plugged. It can keep flowing to drain any properties off the site that are depending on that tile. It may not be that exact drain tile going through. They might connect into a pond, they might connect into a storm sewer system, but continuity has to be maintained. So especially when they're doing any excavation at the perimeters, not only are we gonna be looking for the tiles that we have on the map, we'll also be watching the excavation for any that are found.
Okay.
And I would add for the crowd, if you know of any tiles that we're not in, we can put that map back up. It'd be extremely helpful if you point them out to us now, so we can at least make a scratch mark on the map and be, looking for those. I don't know who's driving if that's not inconvenient, put that tile map. I mean, we might as well see if there's any that we're missing. We got that map from, actually, I think it was from Andrew years
yeah.
ago.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you make it bigger?
We can find the actual PDF of that.
Yeah.
They're a little tough to see, but I see basically two of them coming onto the property, and the rest appear to be leaving the property. But if there's any from the north especially coming in, sing out, let us know, or call City Hall tomorrow or something.
Darren, is there not one on running straight north and south on the west side of my property?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's one on ours as well that runs.
It would be, and so, Scott, somewhere along, I believe right here.
Up there on the map, so,
Up and
so
down
your
this way.
water goes
Does it
down-
flow south to the,
Yeah, everything does, I
So ours,
believe.
because
Okay.
ours pools
This
behind the
area-
shed and in that's why we did the CRP, was
Darren would
because we
know
were
better,
getting so
I
much
guess, but-
flooding.
Everything from up here is flowing down, correct?
yeah?
Half of that property is flowing to the south, and the other half flows
Yeah.
to the north to the gravel road,
Yeah.
There's a
250.
break
But
there.
I think this
And
line
it's-
right here is probably halfway, correct?
Yep, and so similar to all your houses that go down that gravel road. Your
Yeah.
front yards go to the north,
Correct.
but I mean, like some of your property, those little fields that I used to farm,
Yep.
that all did go to the north, but, when you guys build houses years ago, not saying
Right.
the previous homeowner that built the houses, they kinda screwed up the tiling and stuff. And we noticed that farming your little parcels over the years, it just slowly got worse. But all that water used to go to the north, over underneath the gravel road, and then hooked into that creek where this main storm sewer that you see on the school road goes. But that creek is not being maintained anymore, so on the north side of my grandpa's farm, that's all marsh now because the creek can't take it, and unfortunately, that's where your tile is running. So you're slowly getting backed up from miles and miles north.
Yeah. But
Not
we're
to
getting
the
it from
south.
this, we actually had to add drain tile in to the new ditch and drainage to the north because we're getting so much coming from the south. To just be able to shoot it out because it won't go the other way.
So you're probably changing the elevation to make the tile work and still flowing to the north, you're saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's the only way you can fix it because
Right.
the old tile, it can't take it because the creek is totally backed up. So that's the only way you're gonna solve your problem.
Right. And so those houses that are right next to that creek are gonna wind up with potential flooding issues. If you're gonna have stuff more going to the north.
We're not, actually. It's designed to not increase the rates of flow because of the ponds. So we'll be holding it. Anyway, that's kind of went off on a tangent, but I think it's important to people to understand what we're aware of, what we're not, and we do plan to watch as any excavation happens and pick up any tile coming into the site so we can keep it going.
Were you also putting a tile, I think that, on that north border to go to that eastern pond?
It'll either be storm sewer or tile.
Yeah, something,
some
but
kind of pipe,
you're
yeah.
adding something in there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I will ask again, anyone like to comment on Highlands at Eagle View
please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Jody
Thank you.
Wagner, 25226 Texas Avenue. Related topic, because I'm very concerned about the stormwater management. So the plat and the grading plan that we saw last week show on the northern 40 acres that we currently farm that there's a stormwater basin there. And so I'm seeking clarification because that hasn't been addressed with the property owners, and then we farm that land. So I'm wondering what the plan is, given that the grading plan and the map and the plat show that stormwater basin.
If you want to pull up the plan.
95, maybe the grading plan?
Yeah.
95,
116. 95.
Sorry.
The grading, do you have the grading plan? If you go into the development plans and.
She was talking about the ghosting.
Yeah, she is. So this shows that stormwater basin up there.
You're not sharing that to me.
Oh, you're not showing.
Good one, Brandon.
100?
Share on my own screen, I guess.
No, maybe not.
Yeah, I think there's probably something a little better than that, but that, I mean, that shows the location. but it doesn't
Yeah,
show the-
so to answer the question, that, I think it's that ellipse, that half moon there that we're talking about. So, again, back to the comment earlier, about half of that site, 40 acres drains through this development here. And so we're picking up that drainage, the proposed conditions, the plans show that we're picking up that drainage. And currently it's being routed into our storm sewer system. We're working through with city staff to work through the correct routing of that storm to pick up that water, whether we bypass our storm sewer and our detention basins and bring it out to Nevada, which is the ultimate discharge location, or pick that water up and drain it into our stormwater basins and detention basins. So that ellipse is just identifying that's the low spot that we're picking up that water. There has been discussions, preliminary discussions with city staff that maybe that needs to be in some sort of drainage utility easement. We acquire that area and that becomes a dry detention basin, just more of a retention. So it just kind of holds back on those high events and drains through. None of that's been figured out to my knowledge yet. And so when we find out, I think the best solution is to route that water away and keep it flowing off. And so it minimizes impacts on that North 40. But still a little bit more that needs to come from that. So that's just.
Can I recap that to see if I got it?
Absolutely, go ahead.
You kind of got two options. You capture, slow it down, release it into your system, or you run a pipe all the way over to Nevada that bypasses everything, but may have more downstream. Well, it's kind of existing flow. It's just be
Yeah,
short-circuiting.
and it's just whether we bypass our site or we capture it and deal with the water on our site and make it all work. There's some complexities to it. City staff has been wonderful to work with. This all is predicated on the future. This isn't the first half that we're developing. The 25 acres is on the east side. That can be a standalone. We get the drainage, stormwater to function just fine. This would be next year's problem, phase two's problem, that we're just trying to work through. The best solution that appeases the neighbors and makes it work for the city and everybody. So that's just identifying that low spot that we're picking that water up, so.
So just to clarify for the commission, we reviewed it as though it was going to capture and release slowly into their system. I haven't thought about the implications. Certainly there's a cost implication to run it due east to Nevada, but they're probably long-term impacts that may not be attractive that I just haven't thought through. So our review assumed that that water would be captured and brought into their system, slow it down.
Captured in that basin.
Captured in that basin, yeah.
Which basin?
Well, and there's kind of a low spot there, but it, you know, this appears to show some reshaping. But there's, the other option still remains too.
So that already is a wet area?
Say that again, sorry. I
It
didn't hear.
already is a wet area?
I don't know that
It's,
wet,
I
but
don't,
it's
I'm not sure it's really wet. They farm it. Darren farms it. It's just that that's the drainage area that drains through there. It's also the location of where that drain tile, we believe that's where that drain tile is. So it's kind of that natural low spot that we're picking up. And I think Rich probably said it better than I did, is we're evaluating the best option of handling that water to get it out of there. There's also some complexities that if it does remain in the township and it is that water, how do we deal with the ownership, maintenance, and all of that, if that's ultimately what we need to do. In the beyond the future, when that 40 acres ever develops, there likely would be a need for a stormwater pond somewhere in that area, because it is the low one. In that 40 acres, whoever develops it would need to handle their own stormwater management system. Being as it's the low spot, they're gonna have to do a stormwater pond, detention and treatment pond in that location in the future, so.
I want to respond to what you just said to make it clear, that if this basin, it sounds like this might be the option that is chosen. If this is the option that's chosen, a drainage and utility easement will need to be granted to the city, and the city would be responsible for maintenance of that basin going forward. Even though it is located in the township, we do have other situations where we do that.
So long story short, there's some stuff that needs to be figured out. I believe we have full confidence that we can get there. And whatever the outcome is, we'll certainly work with the appropriate entities to make that work, so.
I would agree both options are viable within the rules.
Are those detailed plans available publicly or electronically? Are they on the website?
They are, yeah.
You might want to email staff directly for
Yeah.
a better version on the website if you have trouble reading it.
Yeah, so right now it's in the planning commission packet. It's uploaded to the website, which included everything that's on the agenda tonight. If you contact any one of us city staff, we can email you just the packet of information for this development.
And so you guys are in discussion right now, but when do you expect a decision to be made on that?
It really will be what they pursue. We approve, but they suggest.
So that, yeah, we propose. Yes. Based on the plans, what they've proposed includes the basin today? Or on that 40?
It's kind of hard to make I shouldn't talk to I'm Darren Wagner, Jody's husband. How can people start making decisions or even talk about something when the property owners haven't even been included on the discussion? I don't know. How can we look to somebody else or pass the shovel and expect them to deal with it when all parties aren't involved yet? How can we answer the questions when not everybody's here to answer? I guess I'm just wondering.
I would just, in response, approval tonight doesn't mean approval of the final plans, and we would require those easements and that the numbers work, not dollars, but the flows and everything work, if they carry forward with this plan into their final plan set. So it's not a concept, this is demonstrating that things work. They've got two working options. They either catch the water in that low spot, slow it down into their system, or they build a bypass system that carries it over to the east. Both of those would work within the rules. but they'll have to come to us with what they'd want to do final. And we won't approve it until we get an easement, and they won't get an easement until they talk with you, so, if that helps.
So that'd be a condition of approval tonight?
Yeah, that would, I was going to mention to Brandon, we would have to add that as a condition, that if the northerly pond is constructed on the northerly 40 acres, an easement would be required. A drainage and utility easement in favor of the city would be required.
Hello again, Maria Fregis, 25490 Texas Avenue. If you wouldn't mind me asking, could we pull up that last kind of map that was showing some of the grading? I had a few questions. It's okay. Maybe I'll start with an easier one. With the traffic study, were there any counts done on County Road 27 on Texas Avenue?
We
Heading.
took current counts from MinDOT's 2024 counts on their website.
Okay.
Yeah, in the city and in the rural areas, we have 2024 counts.
Okay.
I can report those to you in a moment. Or Brandon may have them memorized. The 2024 count on Texas, adjacent to the site, is 1,905 vehicles per day.
Okay.
ADT. And on 255th, a 2024 count is 443 vehicles.
Okay.
ADT.
And with the development, it was 1,147 additional daily travel counts?
I think so, yeah.
I'm gonna bring up the.
So
And
just, oh, I'm sorry. go
I was gonna say, in the morning and afternoon, I think those numbers didn't quite match up with the daily counts. I'm just trying to figure out with the sheer amount of
Those are the
people.
peak hour, the
Peak
busiest
hours,
hour.
okay. Okay.
So yeah.
So it's like 86 for the peak PM hour, so that's the most, obviously. So that's 80 plus the other hours of the day, which would be higher, so you'd
Okay.
get to that total.
Different PM, or different roads might have a different peak hour, like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of roads will have like a 7 AM to 8 AM peak hour. You know, maybe near the school, the peak hour is different, later towards 9, but.
No, that's that's understandable. I know, yeah, in the morning, a lot of school buses, a lot of people dropping off their kids, as well as people heading, sometimes they bypass County Road too with that stop sign now and go to 8, to go to 35 or 169. So just want to make sure you guys are taking into account the sheer volume of people that are going to be, because even, I mean, Nevada Avenue, essentially all those people are either going to go somehow north and east to 35, or again, with that stop sign, they're probably going to bypass and go down Texas Avenue again, and all those roads essentially are going to end up on Texas. So just making sure you're aware of it might be a little bit more than that for the counts, but I appreciate you guys looking at them and providing those numbers. Thank you. I did have a couple questions on the ponds, specifically again with living off of Texas Avenue. Again, I can't really tell, but I'm guessing that road that goes from north to south and kind of curves, that's probably the dividing factor between the drainage area that's going to the north versus to the west?
Generally.
Or
it's
east to
not
the west?
exactly, but
Okay.
it's in that area. yeah.
Okay. It's all good, thank you. For that stormwater basin to the southwest, is that proposing to be, I mean, it's obviously a different color, so I'm guessing the two blue ones are probably wet ponds or detention basins versus the orangish yellow ones are dry basins or infiltration basins? Filtration, okay.
So they're not dry, they'll be wet, but they have a filtration feature, right? If I'm understanding what I looked at.
Yeah, and they're designed to, they're a basin with like a sand bottom that has a submerged drain pipe. And, so water will fill up, and then it's designed to, in a larger event, it'll go out the outlet structure. But, for the smaller events, allowing that water to filtrate through the sand and out the drain tile.
Okay, so essentially with that side, with it again being the drain tile, because I'm guessing some of that might be routed to that basin as well, but then essentially going down and outletting to those two kind of culverts that we talked about already.
Yep.
Okay. And does it outlet to essentially that drainage and utility easement or to the right-of-way along the county road, or is it going, I can't remember if there was riprap right at the culvert outlet?
Yeah, there's riprap right at the culvert.
Okay,
I guess inlet,
Okay.
flowing from east to west.
okay,
And then our proposed pipe is, basically connecting right into where that riprap is.
okay.
So there'd be a gap, but the flow out of one and into the next one.
Yep. With that riprap, is that gonna extend to connect the two, just to prevent any scour or any erosion from kind of happening right between the two?
Yes,
Okay,
we haven't seen the final plans, but that's always required.
okay,
Unless the existing, but I was down there today, and I'm guessing there'll be some modifications, so there's a continuous protection.
okay.
of that flow area.
And I know you were talking about the drain tile, I mean, from the whole thing could either connect to storm sewer or potentially to the basins directly. With that being such a low area, is the idea just to leave that as is, or again, potentially route it up the hill then to that basin?
So as far as preserving drain tile on this site that flows off of it,
Yep,
we don't worry about that.
Okay.
Because there'll be a new drainage system. We're concerned about drainage coming onto our site.
okay,
That we have to pick up
okay,
and keep. So there might not be any, there'll be some tiles for backyard drainage and sump pumps, things like that. But as far as the existing tile on the site, I would guess that'll mostly be obliterated.
okay. Do you mind me asking, I guess because I'm guessing that pond will outlet at the 100-year event, maybe?
It'll outlet at every event,
Every-
but at different rates.
Yep.
Small rain, a little outlet. Big rain, more outlet. But in all cases, it's designed to be less than the existing flows at those same storms.
Do you mind me asking what the storage capacity is proposed versus the volume of runoff that's going to be going out during each of those events? It's okay if you don't know off the top of your head, I just want to,
I don't. I just look at the numbers and they're all smaller on the proposed
They are.
column and I turn the page. Nate might be able to pull them up, or we could look them up, or we can take that up tomorrow or something if you want to email.
yep, I can definitely reach out directly. I'm just, again, curious with, again, things outletting and
They
making
have
sure
to
that,
comply at different points, so.
Yep.
Basically, 3 points. And in all cases where water's leaving this site, it's meeting those criteria, and we can get you those numbers.
okay. Because I don't know, I guess, and you might find out more with the wetland delineation, Army Corps. I know they're really looking at on-site, but are they happening to look at off-site impacts, potential bounces to that? I mean, it is a creek that leads into then the Vermillion and South Creek and everything like that.
I'm not a wetland specialist. I've been on site with them for only
Okay.
one meeting. I didn't hear them talk about that.
Okay,
And I think the presumption, because this is farmed, it's probably not a approve or not, it's how big, meaning how much restoration and
Okay.
replacement. That is probably the key question. How many credits would they have to buy to replace this?
okay. And with that, is that pretty much the plan? You're not planning on preserving any of those wetlands on site? I mean, there's probably maybe not the best quality because it has been farmed for many years, but I know they do provide some sort of habitat. So just curious if there was any plans for restoration or if it was mostly wetland banking credits.
I guess it depends on how you look at those two wet basins. I would think they're maybe more attractive than what's been out there, but they may not have the same wildlife benefits like an existing, although I don't know how great those were either with being farmed for all these years, so.
Potentially, but once in a while, if you walk around enough, you see sandhill cranes and a couple of eagles actually stopping, probably getting some roadkill that wandered off into the fields, but something there.
Yeah, I think the rationale under the law for allowing off-site replacement is that those can be better quality wetlands. You get more wetland bang for your buck by buying credits from a large complex with a lot of variation and well-established wetlands. In fact, most agencies now encourage that because it's notoriously difficult to create wetlands.
Yeah, and our understanding based on these plans is that they would not be proposing any replacement on site.
Okay. So no matter kind of what the decision is for the wetland determination, it'll likely be, if there's wetlands on site and whatever that boundary is, they'll likely
It'll
be
have a time
impacted.
impact, because we won't approve this till
Yep.
that's done. And,
And they have to then apply for the second application, which is the wetland replacement plan.
Yep.
And they'll have to submit the criteria,
Yep.
required under the
Okay.
application.
they still have to meet the law, but based on what we've seen thus far, it's probably more a matter of magnitude.
Okay. And from your, sorry to keep going on this, from your conversations, the other TIP members did not have significant comments, or were there some concerns with the site?
I think it's largely extents.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see significant comments from my observation, just really trying to decide where that boundary was.
Okay.
And it's a bit difficult when it's in the middle of a farm field.
Nope, I appreciate it. Again, do you mind if I then reach out to staff directly to kind of walk through some of these things if I have additional questions I want to look at? Again, some of these are very small numbers as well. I can't see that far.
Absolutely. Please contact us. We will put you right in touch with our wetland specialist at Bolton and Mank that represents the city, Dan Donaire. And actually, Jake's going to grab a card for you.
Thank you very much.
And then we can submit these plans to you too, so you can see the basins and the elevation.
Can I ask if you have specific concerns, or is it just, you're kind of just looking for information to decide if you have concerns, or?
I'm looking more, I do have some specific concerns, again, with those basins and the drainage that's being directed towards them, how they're outletting, especially, again, with the existing drainage and drain tile. Again, our concerns on, just with past experience of watersheds changing, and then, and I know development changes the land use anyways,
Yep.
but really making sure that the downstream impacts are addressed. If, for example, all the drain, again, not sure how all the drain tile is routed right now, where it all goes, can't see that on the map again, but if, for example, that southwest basin is taking a lot more of the drainage, taking the stormwater from all the, from the streets, from the runoff, and collecting it. And I know it's a filtration basin, so it will outlet at different rates during different storms. Hopefully, a lot of it will infiltrate back through the soil, potentially back through the drain tile. But again, all that goes into the creek, goes into the wetlands, into the, slough that's further west.
Yep.
And if there's less water being directed towards that, then that automatically changes how that wetland, how that land, how that slough lives, how the hydrology of that. So that's a big concern I have.
So you want more water?
Well,
You
I
wanna keep it-
wouldn't say more water. I wanted,
keep it going.
I want to make sure, I know we want to, it's going to tie into the rest of the city's storm sewer system. It's going to go further east and north, but I want to make sure that if water is being held, it's not just going to completely cut away everything, which it sounds like it's not. Again, things are being directed to it. I just want to make sure that the hydrology between all these watersheds isn't changing Again, I know land use changes, but it's.
It's certainly our intention to maintain drainage patterns, not increase rates, and do the best we can with volume. With these tight soils, you can't soak much into the ground. And that's why the filtration at
Yep.
least slows it down, improves the quality, doesn't increase the temperature. So there's benefits to filtration, even if it's still leaving the site. And I think you'll be satisfied through the stormwater report and talking to the wetland specialist, probably more the stormwater report.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get that to you. The actual stormwater report is very lengthy, and it's a lot of text. It's not included in the packet, so we'll get that to you.
Sorry.
The first 3 pages are all.
It's all good. Awesome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else like to comment on Highlands at Eagle View? Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. All right, I'll ask one more time. Anyone want to comment on
I can say it. Highlands at Eagle View. Please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record. All right, I will close the public hearing at 9:01 p.m. Thank you. All right, questions, comments, the commissioners?
We've seen a plan, probably what, Renee, probably what, 15 years ago this came?
2005.
2005.
Okay, 20 years ago then. So I don't know if a lot of the homeowners were the same ones that were here before, but I remember it was a development back then. It was going to happen, but it never did because of markets changing. So it's not new, I don't believe. And so to me, it was when it was going to come, I guess. So you know, I'm not. I just wondered about the road to the east, I guess. That's not on the property, that they're leaving easement for it, and then the next property will develop that road, or what?
We have had discussions with the city administrator and city attorney on that. Had already been kind of pre-established in 2005 that it would be centered on the property line. We wouldn't do that today. We would have it all on one side, all on the other. Yes, so it would be constructed either by this adjacent property owner in conjunction with the city at the time that they develop. And I will note that we have been contacted again by that property owner to the east that will likely be moving forward with a concept again on that property. So it might be sooner than later.
So is this development leaving money in the city's hand for their portion of the road, or
No, not at this time.
is that not going to be part of it?
That's likely not. That's correct.
With a PUD even?
That's not currently part of the conversation.
Should it be?
We will bring it up, or we will talk with the city council about that. We can bring up your comment on that.
All right. Are these dead ends going to be the rounded dead ends now? Or?
They're under 150 feet, so no.
There's only one on the west side that will have a temporary turnaround. The one that goes into the old home sites, or the existing home sites on the west.
Oh, I see.
Because that's longer than 150 feet.
Oh, I see. Okay. Just living on a dead end, I know it's different, so.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess these are short runs. So.
There would be no driveways onto it.
There are some on that north one,
The
northwest one.
northwest one, yes, but not the middle one.
Yeah.
At least not the stub. The rest of it there.
Yeah. So if a semi came in, you could get, because that's what I have come down my road. It's 2 blocks long, and they back in, and it's like,
Yeah. If he drives in there, it's his own fault.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there for him.
What happened? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have no further comment on it myself.
Any other comments or questions or? I don't have any. John, Casey?
No.
No? Okay. Are we ready to make a motion?
It's back on page 80, I believe.
Is that on 80?
I think so. two things. To the zone the 50.86 acres to PUD, that's one item, right?
Yes.
So that's the first one to make a motion on. I'll make a motion.
Okay, I will second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Are you on that page? Because I'm,
It's, yeah, 79 now is the other one. It's approval of the request for preliminary plat approval for Highlands at Eagle View.
And with the conditions.
Conditions
stated
listed.
earlier.
I can see it now. Okay.
And
I
the
think they're 12
13 and 14 and,
With the addition of that other,
easement.
Yeah, with the addition of the easement necessary to the property at the northwest.
and the watershed thing you talked about,
The wetland.
the wetland.
wetlands.
Yes, that's number one. That's the very first condition.
Oh, okay.
Um,
But then what about when I brought up, talk about the road?
Oh, yeah.
I think
I think you
we
could
should
get
just
a amount.
add that into the minutes, and we'll be sure to add it into the staff report that will go to the city council, that the planning commission suggested participation in Nevada Avenue.
Yes, or at least retaining a value it's worth nowadays, I guess, or a portion, so.
Okay,
Because we don't know when that development will happen, you know.
that's correct.
A good suggestion.
I'll make that motion.
All right, anyone want a second? I'll second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. All right, and then on to general business. Zoning ordinance amendment discussion, chapter 6, accessory building structures and uses height.
Jake is going to handle this.
Shorter presentation. Thank you for everyone for attending the meeting tonight. I'll give everyone a chance to clear out for a minute. All right. We'll get going. You know, it's getting late. Staff would like to continue discussions related to potential zoning ordinance amendments related to the city's detached accessory buildings. This discussion has been ongoing since February of 2024. Staff have held discussions and received feedback over the months to create a draft amended ordinance. That amended ordinance incorporated some of these changes. We increased the building height, or changed the building height definition, amended it as follows: the vertical distance to be measured from the grade of the finished building to the highest point of the roof. For properties 1 acre and under, we increased the maximum allowable floor area to 1,000 square feet. For acres 1 acre and greater, we increased that to 2,000 square feet. Did the allowed two detached accessory buildings per lot rather than just the one, and increased the maximum building height to 20 feet and shall not exceed the primary structure. Public hearing was held, and this was all approved during the October 10th City Council meeting. Since then, April 30th, staff were contacted by a property owner stating that they were still having some issues designing a building that would accommodate a 14-foot high garage door with a 20-foot maximum height limitation. The property owner pointed out to staff that a 14-foot door requires a 16-foot wall, and once the truss height is factored in, between 6 or 7 more feet, roughly it leaves it at 23.5 feet for overall height if you want to get that 14-foot garage door. The purpose of the garage door would be to allow the storage of a Class A motorhome, which was pointed out by the property owner, would also allow residents more indoor storage for recreational vehicles. The property owner has requested a revision to City Code Title 11, Chapters 6 through 9 to allow a higher building height that will allow a 14-foot high garage door. The property owner has recommended a maximum height of 24 feet to provide this flexibility. Additionally, the property owner also recommended an exemption to the current requirement that accessory structure shall not exceed the height of a primary structure. The property owner believes that he himself personally will comply with this requirement. However, it will be close depending on grading and foundation work. If the existing home is a single-story home, the height of the home will be a limiting factor, and the homeowner expressed that he would not be able to build an accessory structure with the 14-foot high door in a single-story home. The property owner is requesting this exemption only apply to acreage lots within city limits, so lots greater than 1 acre. During the research for this topic, staff went over the ordinance and found some other things that should be addressed simultaneously with any proposed ordinance amendment. First, City Code Section 11.6-6, area limitations B2 is no longer needed as the area limitations in all zoning districts were recently increased to 1,000 or 2,000 square feet based on lot size. Staff recommend deleting this section of code in its entirety. It's just redundant and it adds to confusion. Staff also recommend the deletion of language in City Code Section 11-6-7, number of structures, and the full deletion of Section 11-6-12, conditional use permits. The purpose would be to remove the language related to conditional use permits, as discussed in our previous discussions. Also, the recently increased area limitations with 2 structures equaling either 1,000 or 2,000 square feet should be adequate for on-site storage. So we don't recommend changing any of that. And then the last one is the city's land use table should be amended to reflect the changes related to conditional use and permitted uses within the city in different zoning districts. This is something that was overlooked in our last ordinance amendment, and it's something that's going to require some time for staff to go through and add that language to all the different sections of city code. So the Planning Commission is being asked to consider the amendments first for height to allow an increased maximum building height of 24 feet. Which would allow for a 14-foot high garage door and remove the language related to accessory structures not exceeding the height of the primary structure for lots greater than 1 acre. So that was the resident request, and he is here tonight. So before we go into the other things, I think if you have any questions, or Lars, if you'd want to speak, the floor is yours.
Well, let me stand up there and give my name.
Sure.
No one else wants to talk about garages, I guess. My name's Lars Forsman. I live on 26330 Thomas Avenue in Elko, and we have a 4-acre size lot. So you covered pretty much everything I was going to say. Just I will say that I think it is a pretty good benefit to the community to have a garage door this size, so we can get those larger motor vehicles inside a garage rather than sitting, next to the garage or having to pay to store them somewhere else. So. That's really all I had to say. I don't plan on exceeding the square foot requirement. I'm happy with the size of the shed. But yeah, having a 14-foot door is going to be a selling point for the house when I do sell it someday. And just very valuable. In particular, I think the community would see kindly upon it as well. So if there's any questions, let me know.
The number before, the 24-foot?
It was 20.
20 is the maximum
20, so
height
it
right
wouldn't
now.
work, yeah.
So the request is to increase that by 4 feet.
Yeah.
To allow for the garage door. Then the second part of the request would be to remove the language stating that the accessory structure shall not exceed the height of the primary structure for lots greater than 1 acre.
And that request is more, like if you have a 1-story home, you can be really restricted if you have, I don't think it's really gonna apply to me, but like I say, with the grading, and my slab is actually going in tomorrow morning, so it just depends on where that top of that slab goes. I think I'm gonna be shorter than my house, but I'd like that, I guess, flexibility to, if I had to go 6 inches above or wherever it ends up being.
That makes sense too.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the second part of that, if the Planning Commission does agree to go forward with any kind of possible ordinance amendment, staff would request also to delete that language I stated earlier related to conditional use permits and those sections of code that are no longer necessary due to the updated area limitations in all zoning districts. If changes are recommended, staff will incorporate them into a final draft for a future public hearing at an upcoming meeting.
Questions, comments? I think it makes sense.
I've seen some houses with this even in my development, and they built a big garage with it, you know, I mean, it was a bigger house, but I mean, it just fit in, and there's one over on Natchez over here, I think, or not Natchez, something like that. But anyway, that's pretty common, so.
Yeah. So we're good to move forward with those amendments, changes?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, as proposed.
Make a
Yeah.
motion?
We don't need a motion at this point, no. We'll just bring it back as a final draft, hopefully at the next meeting. Lars will be in touch. If you want to attend the meeting, you're more than welcome to. I'm sure you get better things to do though, sometimes.
Yep. No worries.
So,
Okay.
I'm sorry I came on the tail end of that, but can we just talk about the process again? Are we going to plan a public hearing at the next meeting? Or do you want to draft and then a public hearing? 'Cause it
So
delays
it's
the
kind of up
process.
to the commission. If you're comfortable with kind of what we talked about, just drafting the,
It will delay it a month if we bring you a draft and then hold a public hearing the
I don't
next
think-
month.
I'm fine with,
I don't know that we need a draft. Do
Yeah,
we
I
need a
don't.
draft?
no.
Okay.
I think it's pretty straightforward, so
Here. Okay.
sounds good. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, miscellaneous community development updates.
we have to adjourn them. Where is it?
What was that? No, we can't adjourn yet. I want to know about 2 and 35. MnDOT, do we have any movement forward? I hate that exit.
If they exit.
I hate it.
No, I don't have any updates.
Learn to love it.
No.
It has me
Another 20
cussing for
years.
everybody who rolls that damn stop sign, because everybody that rolls that, then we get backed up on the freeway or on the ramp waiting to turn. And then we get all of the Amazon trucks, all of the FedEx trucks.
Right.
Guys. Yes, it's killing me.
Yeah.
It's destroying me.
I will give a few updates. I mean, we have been advocating for MnDOT to move the interchange up or just raise awareness to even to our regional partners, the cities to the north of us, legislators. And I think that they're hearing us because there's this I-35 Solutions committee that meets every month. It consists of cities that are up and down the 35 corridor, and they don't, I don't know if they advocate for projects, but we're on their list of priorities. So now that County Road 50 is going to be under construction, we did a study that was kind of a surprise to us, maybe the amount of traffic that's coming out of the Lakeville Industrial Park. So we were able to share that with the group. We just submitted comments on it. There's a new development in Lakeville being proposed, and they did a traffic impact study, and we just submitted comments on Thursday night that, hey, your traffic does, if it's going south, it's coming down to, a large amount of it's coming here to get on our interchange. It will impact us. We submitted a grant application a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, for $1.5 million just to get some engineering started. So they've received our application, and we're going to get letters of support, like from the Chamber of Commerce and different agencies that they want us to submit with that. So I think we have a really good chance at that, but that still is, it's only $1.5 million, and it just allows us to, to start some more engineering on it, but.
Yeah, might be 2% of the project.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
And
But
Burnsville
to your
got tore
point,
down.
though,
Oh, I don't even-
yes, and I'm like, oh, are you
Three
kidding me?
exits.
I know, it's crazy.
Yes, and we can't even get our one exit done. And again, Lakeville, it's grossly unfair that they have the big business that we don't, and they're still utilizing our infrastructure. And yes, I understand that we kind of have a little bit of that going on here, but
Yeah.
this is getting egregious.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
listening
I
to me.
No, I think the more the public,
Yeah.
I think the public contacting MnDOT does help.
She goes to Northfield.
I know, you got it easy.
Northfield, it's going all the way back, yeah.
There's a lot of ways to Northfield.
Oh, I know there are. I do, but I just want to get home. You know, I like Northfield. I like being there, and when I'm done, I'm done. I just want to get home.
That's the only way I go to Northfield.
But originally, was it 2027 or 2028, or did we already breeze through? Because I feel like we had a date at one point, but it was so
We had-
long ago.
Scott County had given us a range, so it's going to have to be a partnership or funding partners between Scott County and MnDOT. The county, through their county sales tax, they thought that they might have some availability for the project in 2028 to 2032, in that kind of timeframe. So now we need to have MnDOT get it on their program. And I think as Rich mentioned, even if we said go today, even if MnDOT said go today, it's 4 years out before it's constructed with all the permitting and engineering and.
Well, it's frustrating too that Scott County's efforts went to 169 and that freaking corridor again. It's frustrating to see other communities get redos where we don't even get the first opportunity, you know? So,
Well, I remember when they fixed our bridge a few years ago.
I wish they wouldn't have.
No,
Yeah,
I know.
It didn't help us at all. What?
Hopefully we won't need a redo once they do it the first time.
right.
We'll do it right.
So in the meeting minutes, it will say,
Work from
Melissa expressed great frustration about the interchange.
That's why I said, should we adjourn quick or?
Put something in like a newsletter on the website, it's okay to zipper merge. You get
Oh
all
my
kinds of,
goodness, right?
what's the,
Anything else?
I don't have any other updates.
I see they're developing behind here, so.
They are.
they're grading.
So, yeah.
2 model homes to start.
Start the model home in 3 weeks, start utilities in 2 weeks.
So how are conversations with Bart we going?
They just planned around him.
So there's no conversations?
No, he wouldn't sell on, well, he would sell for,
They couldn't come to terms.
they couldn't come to terms.
I
yeah.
know, but he could still do something with his lots, can't
No.
he?
They need each other.
They need each other, so they're retaining a little outlot on Sullivan's property so that someday they'll be able to finish those.
The north side, I'm
Yeah.
talking about the south side.
Oh, the south side. No,
They can be independent.
But isn't there a road going part way?
The road will get
It-
built down
yeah.
to the south edge of this property.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, so then he could just use the road to access his lots, couldn't he?
Not exactly, because we would make him extend it to the edge of his property, just like everybody else. Plus he's got sewer and water and services he's gotta put in. So,
They aren't already in, no?
where do you put him?
We don't, yeah,
You don't know the layout.
I know. You,
Well, that's disturbing, so.
Yes,
it
Because
is.
it affects the future of the road, you know, right?
they'll have to cut it open, put him in. Or drill him in or something.
Yeah, it would have, I mean, if I was Bart, I would have said, hey, I'll pay for those stubs if you give me a stub every 65 feet or something, you know, just for planning.
But I think he's gotta get that retirement age where he's gotta be, you know, looking at the future, like Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we should have adjourned before.
So moved.
All right, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
I-